Honda has finally debuted the Honda Prologue, and boy oh boy do I have a lot to say about this one. So the Honda Prologue is Honda's entry into the electric vehicle market in 2024, and is using GM's Ultium platform along with the other few parts from the parts bin. In this video, I'll just be breaking down everything as well as going over some things that we can expect for this new model. But before I start this breakdown, I want to address this quote in the press release about the Honda Prologue. And it's basically about the CR-V hybrid. In short, they're saying that they're offering a short-term lease of 2 years to the CR-V hybrid. And this will enable customers to easily transition to a Prologue when the new EV launches in 2024. Personally, I think if they were really serious about this, they would have offered the CR-V with a plug-in hybrid powertrain. And as you know, a plug-in hybrid offers electric-only range as well as the gas-powered. So, you know, when Karen buys her little Honda CR-V plug-in hybrid and she likes that she can go groceries with only using the electric power and not the gas one, and she saves so much in fuel, she'll be like, oh, why don't I just buy this Honda Prologue, the fully electric version, when it actually comes out? But that's just my 2 cents in my opinion. And again, they do have a plug-in hybrid version of the CR-V in China. So starting with the front end, Honda calls this a neo-modern design. And I had to look at what the prefix of neo means, and it means new. So the term neo-modern, so new modern, kind of sounds a little redundant in my opinion, because modern already refers to the present. But anyways, if you look, you get Honda's regular daytime running light style. They've been doing this for a while now. The Honda logo, if you take a closer look at it, you'll see that there's a camera on there, which means that we're likely getting a 360 camera. Finally, we get the lower grille portion right here, and as you see, most EVs would have that closed off, or it would be like a solid color or something, because you don't need that cooling for the electric batteries. But I guess Honda's trying to make this look more like internal combustion engine vehicle. If you take a look at the side profile, we get 21-inch wheels in a rather simple design. We see that they'll be charging this vehicle from the front as well. The door handles are painted black. Usually I am a fan of black accents on a vehicle, but here on the door handle specifically, it just looks a little cheap, and I think that they should be body colored. The whole side profile kind of reminds me of a Ford Escape for some reason. Moving to the rear, I've seen many say that it looks like a Range Rover Evoque. It looks like we get rear LED taillights as well as the turn signals and reverse lights appear to be smoked out, which is typical for Honda design nowadays. Honda is also spelled out in lowercase letters this time, but that kind of thing is a new design trend as well. We do get a rear wiper, and it looks very small. We also get black roof rails, and it looks like they put some silver plastic below the bumper for protection as well. I also nearly forgot to mention that we will be getting a panel roof as well. So it looks like that's a good design element that they copied from the Blazer. If you look at the numbers, the Prologue will have a wheelbase of 121.8 inches. The length is 192 inches. And the width is 78.3 inches. So compared to the Passport, the wheelbase is about 10.8 inches longer. Its overall footprint is about 2.9 inches longer and 0.3 inches narrower. Overall, the styling here is just pretty inoffensive. It looks like any generic SUV out there, and Honda played it safe. And for those who like that kind of thing, it's a good thing for you guys, but I think it's just a little more boring than the Blazer EV it is based on. But let's get into the interior. Beneath the panoramic roof that I talked about before, the Prologue offers 102.6 feet of room inside the cabin, which is pretty good. I think Honda did a pretty good job of the interior design here. It looks like a better designed VW ID4 interior. They took the GM switchgear and made it look like a Honda, which is basically what I was expecting them to do for the Acura Integra. Just taking the Honda switchgear and making the whole thing look like an Acura. So Honda did better with the Prologue. Anyway, we do see a lot of GM switchgear in here, such as the window controls, wiper stalks, armrests, cup holders, HVAC controls, glove box, and even the way the USB ports are lined up. The steering wheel is also GM as well, but it looks like Honda designed this one for some reason. And if you take a look at the buttons, it does appear that this will be heated, but it's missing the button that will control Super Cruise, which confirms that Hondas will be using their own safety technology in this application. And as I said in this ZDX video, that has like 20 views, so please watch it and support it if you're interested in the precision EV concept. Honda does have a level 3 autonomous system that they use in the Honda Legend or the recently departed Acura RLX, and we will see if that's ready for further use with this vehicle right here. But overall, if it's not in this vehicle, Honda doesn't really have anything else to compete with Super Cruise, Autopilot, or the Ford hands-free system as well. So that's something that I do hope I see in this vehicle. Standard, the Prologue will have a fully 11-inch driver display. This looks like it's borrowed from the GM Blazer EV again. And 11.3-inch display as well. But I do have to point out once again that Honda is skipping on its infotainment size once again. So if you look at the competitors right now in 2022, all of them basically have a minimum of 12 inches in the infotainment display, and this one is 11 inches. And keep in mind that this is not going to be available today. This is a 2024 model and is already lagging behind its competition. And if you watch my pilot video that will likely go out after this one, you'll see that is also having a 9-inch display as well, and for the price, it's just not good enough. And I just don't know why Honda is doing this to all their vehicles. Even the Chevy Equinox EV, which will start at $30,000, will have a bigger 17.3-inch display standard, and that's the same one on the Blazer as well. Another thing I don't like is this massive bezel on the left-hand side where the volume button sits. They've also removed the home and back button and they put it in the screen, which is fine. But I do think that they should have kept the tuning knob, because that was one of the things that people were complaining about in 2016 when the Civic didn't have it. So what I would have done here is basically remove the bezel, make all of that screen, everything screen, and then I would have put the volume button as well as a tuning knob right above the climate controls. And that basically solves that issue. But if you look at the software as well, it looks like they could be using that Android automotive system that they're supposedly working on. And again, the digital cluster seems to be GM's with some Honda paint on it. We do see a Bose sound system. This will likely be the center point version, and it'll likely have 12 speakers. Based on the Blazer, the rear view mirrors look to be switchable, meaning that you can have a normal mirror or you can switch to a screen displaying the backup camera, which helps if you have like a bunch of passengers in the back. The dash is tri-colored with gloss black plastic, a gray plastic trim, and then the darker black or gray right above it. And here's a picture of the seats if you would like to see that as well. Overall, this interior is not that much to write about. I'd say it's missing some of the premium features and feel of the Blazers. For example, the Blazer has a nice trim on the door cards, the stitching on the door cards and stitching on the dash. And then there's a wow factor of just having that 17.3-inch screen on there. Even the other EVs such as the Ioniq 5 and the EV6, they're not too crazy, but they do have some sort of wow factor to them, if you know what I'm saying. Even the BZ4X looks a little more appealing in my opinion. Keep in mind that this vehicle will likely be over 50 grand, but it just doesn't scream 50 grand in my opinion. And I'm just left with a feeling of this is fine or this is good enough, which really isn't great for the vehicle in this price range that it's going to be in. But I'm sure it's fine for those certain demographics that just like appliances and they want something just simple to use. But again, like I said, I do like this better than the ID4, so I guess that's something. Next, I want to talk about performance. And for this section of the video, we won't be able to make that many predictions. We do know that the Ultium platform can support both front wheel and all-wheel drive. And I predicted that the ZDX would be rear-wheel drive because that's more aligned with the Lyriq. But I predict this to be front-wheel drive like the BZ4X with the option of all-wheel drive. Chevy hasn't announced the power output for the LT1 and LT2 trims, which are the base batteries and motors for their Blazer EV. But we do know that the LT1 has 247 miles of range, which is kind of fine for a base trim. But the LT2, there will be an option for all-wheel drive, and there'll be a max range of 293 miles, which is a bit better, and it's pretty solid to be honest as well. But that's probably only talking about the front-wheel version, as the all-wheel drive version will likely have an extra motor and that will require more power, thus reducing the range. This also means that for many variants of the Prologue, that means you won't be able to fast charge. The Ultium platform supports 190 kilowatts of fast charging, but that's only on the higher tier models. And that could basically add 78 miles of range in 10 minutes. And we don't know the standard rate of charge because GM hasn't released that yet. However, there is a chance that we can get a version of the RS battery and motors, which can get up to 320 miles of range maximum. And this one is unique because it's available in both front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, and all-wheel drive. And I think we'll get the front-wheel drive version just because, I don't know, Honda. And then they'll offer the rear-wheel drive, they'll offer the all-wheel drive version as an upgrade. I doubt that we see the SS version because they'll need to upcharge you in order to buy the ZDX. And maybe GM doesn't want Honda to have that kind of power. As for the general pricing model, we just have to look towards the current Blazer EV. So the 1LT has an estimated starting price of around $44,000, $995, basically $45. The LT2 will start about $47,500, and the RS will start at around $52,000. We saw on the back that the Prologue shown was an Elite, so usually they're around 4 to 5 trims before you get up to an Elite in Honda's lineup. So I feel like it'll be something like Sport, EXL Touring, and Elite. And based on the Pilot and Odyssey, there's about a $12,000 minimum of upcharge to get to the Elite. So I predict that the Prologue will be something like 44 grand and will top out about 56 grand, I'd say. And at least for the base models, it's more in line to its competitors. So this gives me just a little bit of hope that we'll see that RS trim that I was talking about before. Hopefully that means rear-wheel drive, but I still predict that'll be front-wheel drive. And again, that 320 miles of electric range. And because Honda doesn't have an EV yet, you can also expect the 7,500 tax credit as well. So that's basically all the expectations and stuff that I have for the Honda Prologue, and basically concludes my breakdown. But in conclusion, I do think Honda played it relatively safe with the Prologue. It seems like a decent SUV, but nothing that will blow your socks off even compared to General Motors' own Blazer EV. That said, Honda can say that they at least have an electric vehicle in their lineup. And compared to the CR-V and HR-V, it's by far the most interesting thing that they put out this year. Only the Pilot can maybe change my mind about that, but I doubt it. So that's pretty much all my thoughts on the new Honda Prologue. Please leave a like, comment what you think about the Prologue. Am I right about my opinions? Am I wrong? That I think it's just a more boring Blazer EV. But those are all my thoughts from me. So thanks for watching. Peace.